You thought you finally had it all figured out, and then the money just disappeared. It always seems so close, like you're almost there, but then something goes completely wrong. My name is Ryan, and I spend way too much time thinking about personal finance. If you're someone who feels stuck no matter how hard you try financially, listen up. Make sure to hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if it helps, because today we are talking about something almost nobody wants to admit they fell for. The illusion of easy money is everywhere, and most of us have already bought in. Maybe it was a side hustle, a hot stock tip, or something you saw online. It looked real, it felt real, and for a brief moment, you actually believed it. Here's the thing. Easy money is not really about luck or greed or stupidity alone. It is about how your brain was literally designed to fall for this exact trap. And once you understand that, almost everything about your financial life starts to make sense. But here is where most people stop. They learn the lesson, then repeat the mistake. Why does that keep happening? I'm going to explain it, and the answer is surprising. But first, let's go back to the moment it probably all started for you personally. You were scrolling late at night, and something suddenly stopped you completely in your tracks. It was a post, an ad, maybe a video, someone claiming to make thousands daily. And your very first reaction wasn't even excitement. It was something far more uncomfortable, recognition. You thought, wait, why not me? I work hard, I deserve this kind of life. Look, that feeling is not a character flaw. It is the emotion that gets exploited. The people selling easy money know exactly which emotional buttons to push. There's a whole industry built around your desire for a faster, easier financial path forward. And that industry made over $40 billion last year from people just like you. So before we go further, I need you to understand how deep this really goes. Here's what most people don't realize. The illusion of easy money is not accidental. It is carefully and deliberately engineered to target people like you. These systems are built by marketers, psychologists, and data scientists who spend their entire career studying human behavior for one reason: to get your money. And the scary part? They are incredibly good at it because they have been refining these methods for decades, and they are only getting better. Now you might be thinking, I would never fall for a scam. I'm smarter than that, and I always know what to look out for. And maybe that is true, but research shows that people with higher incomes and more education actually lose more money to financial fraud, not less. That's not an accident. It means the trap is not about stupidity. It is about something much more fundamental buried inside how we all think. Our brains are wired for something called present bias, the deep tendency to value immediate rewards far more heavily than future ones, no matter what. It is not a weakness. It is evolution. For thousands of years, grabbing what was available now was literally the difference between surviving and dying. The problem is that this ancient instinct does not serve you well in a world designed around delayed gratification, compound growth, and long-term financial planning. Think about it this way. Imagine you had two choices: $500 today or a fixed $1,000 handed to you exactly 1 year from now. Mathematically, waiting is obviously the better choice. That's a 100% return in 12 months, which beats almost every investment available on the planet. But most people, when actually tested and forced to choose in the real moment, take the $500 every time without even thinking twice. And that same impulse is what makes easy money offers so incredibly hard to resist, even when every logical part of you already knows better. This is where it gets really interesting. The easy money trap is not one thing. It is an entire layered system designed to catch you. The first layer is always the promise. It does not need to be outlandish, just slightly out of reach, but still believable to your brain. Think about the promises you have actually seen. Make $5,000 a month from home. Turn $200 into $2,000 in 60 days. None of those numbers sound entirely fake, but almost none are real. And the gap between what is promised and what gets delivered is always massive. The second layer is social proof, and that is what truly gets people because we are deeply wired to follow what others appear to believe. Testimonials, screenshots, and comment sections flooded with success stories. Most of that content is fabricated, cherry-picked, or just a rare outlier presented as the norm. But your brain doesn't care about statistics. It sees 10 people saying this worked, and emotionally concludes that it will absolutely work for you too. And then there is the third layer: urgency, limited spots, ending tonight, never offered again. These tactics bypass logical thinking and force snap emotional decisions. Here's the brutal truth. When you feel pressured to decide quickly about money, that urgency is a warning sign, not a reason to move faster. Legitimate opportunities do not disappear overnight. Legitimate wealth building is boring, slow, and deeply unsexy. And that's actually what makes it real and makes it last. Now here's a question. How much have you already spent chasing fast money? Add it all up honestly, including time, hope, and mental energy lost. Most people who stop and do that math find the real number shocking. Not because they're foolish, but because the trap is genuinely that effective. And here's what nobody tells you. The money lost is not the real cost. The damage runs much deeper, and that is what truly matters. The real cost of chasing easy money is the slow, quiet erosion of your belief that real and honest effort can actually build lasting wealth. Every single failed attempt quietly tells your brain a damaging story, that maybe you are just not the type of person who ever gets ahead. And that belief, once planted, makes you even more vulnerable to the very next promise of easy money, not less. And the damaging cycle repeats. Psychologists actually call this a scarcity mindset loop, and it is considered one of the most financially destructive mental patterns a person can ever develop. When you feel financially behind, your brain shifts straight into survival mode, and in that mode, slow and steady progress feels completely unbearable and impossible. That's exactly when shortcuts look most appealing, not because you are greedy, but because your brain is genuinely desperate for relief from all the pressure. So what actually breaks the cycle? It is not motivation, not discipline, and it is definitely not finding the right opportunity at the right time. The thing that actually breaks the cycle is fundamentally changing the metric you are using to measure your own financial progress in the first place. Most people measure progress only in dollars, how much they made this month, this week, or today. That is the wrong measurement, every single time. The right measurement is systems. Are your habits, decisions, and daily actions moving you in the direction of real financial freedom or away from it? Here is a concrete example. Someone earning $40,000 a year and consistently saving 10% will outpace most six-figure earners who save nothing. Compound growth over 20 or 30 years rewards consistency far more than it rewards peak income levels. If you invest just $200 monthly starting at age 25, by 65 you will have over $500,000 through consistency alone. No viral moment, no lucky trade, no perfect opportunity required, just $200 a month and time. That is the real formula for wealth. Now you might be thinking, but what if I am starting late? What if I am already in my 30s, 40s, or even 50s now? That is a completely valid question. And honestly, the answer is far more encouraging than most people in your exact situation ever expect to hear. Someone who starts investing at 40, putting away $500 a month, can still reach $400,000 by their mid-60s. Still powerful. The point is this: the best time to build real wealth is always earlier, but the second best time is always, without exception, right now. So what does the real path forward actually look like? Because I know some of you right now are still waiting to hear something specific and practical. Step 1 is eliminating costly debt first, especially anything carrying charges above 10% annually. A credit card charging 24% annually is not a financial tool. It is a leak that quietly drains everything you are trying to build. Step 2 is building a real emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of living expenses held somewhere safe and accessible, not spent, not invested. Without this buffer, every unexpected expense becomes a financial emergency that forces you into debt or completely derails your saving plan at the worst time. Step 3 is automating your investments so the decision is removed from your daily routine entirely, because automation eliminates emotion, your single biggest financial enemy. Set up an automatic transfer on payday. Before you see the money, think about it, or find any reason to delay. It is already invested. This is the strategy behind the phrase, pay yourself first, and it has genuinely transformed the financial lives of millions of ordinary, everyday people worldwide. Here is the part most finance content completely skips, and it might honestly be the single most important thing in this entire video for you. Your income is the engine of your financial life. If you never invest in growing your skills, that engine will slowly begin to lose power. Inflation runs at about 3% a year. If your income is not growing by that amount, you are effectively taking a real pay cut. The truth nobody mentions is this: staying financially still is not neutral. It is moving backwards. You lose real ground every year you stay flat. Actively learn, upskill, and seek ways to increase what you earn, not through shortcuts, but through deliberate daily choices that build real long-term earning power. Now let's talk about investing, because this is where the gap between what people believe and what is actually true becomes absolutely and dangerously enormous. Most people believe investing means picking winning stocks, timing the market perfectly, and finding hidden gems. Every single one of those assumptions is completely wrong. Study after study shows that the average active investor consistently underperforms a simple index fund even after a single year, let alone over several decades. Even professional fund managers with full research teams and decades of experience still fail to beat the market consistently over any truly meaningful time period. So what does that tell you about your chances of consistently outperforming the market while working a full-time job and managing your real daily life? The real answer is not to try harder or research more. It is simply to stop playing a game specifically designed to work against you. Invest consistently in low-cost index funds. Let the market do the heavy lifting for you, instead of trying to outsmart a game nobody consistently wins. This is what Warren Buffett himself has recommended for most ordinary investors. Simple, boring, consistent index investing over decades. No drama, no panic, just growth. Now I want to address the final and most overlooked piece of this entire wealth-building puzzle, and it has nothing to do with money directly. It is your environment. The people around you and the content you consume shape your financial reality more powerfully than almost any other single factor. Research consistently shows your income tends to average out to that of the 5 closest people you spend the very most time around each day.
That does not mean cutting off people you love. It means being intentional about who you let influence your financial thinking and daily money decisions.
Read books that shift your financial mindset. Consume content that challenges your assumptions. Surround yourself with people who genuinely take their own financial future seriously. Your inputs determine your outputs. If you are consuming panic, comparison, and get-rich-quick content every day, that is exactly what your financial decisions will reflect. Here is where we land, the most important takeaway from everything we covered today, and it is probably simpler than you expect it to be. Easy money is an illusion, but real wealth, the kind that lasts and gives you genuine freedom, is not an illusion. It is absolutely real. Real wealth is built through small, boring, consistent steps. Never one big moment. It is available to you now, no matter where you are starting. The only question now is not whether this is possible, because it clearly is. The real question is whether you are finally ready to start. Subscribe, share this with someone who needs it, and let us build something real together, because you deserve a genuinely lasting and meaningful financial life.